Welcome to something special. Welcome to TEDx. This TEDx event is part of a global conversation that takes place every day in every corner of the world. In schools, in theaters, in workplaces, even in prisons, people gather to hear the best ideas bubbling up in their communities. More than 3,000 TEDx events are held every year in 170 countries. It's a remarkable thing. TEDx events are self-organized under a license from TED, a non-profit organization devoted to discovering and sharing powerful ideas in the form of TED Talks. It's not TED itself, but your local TEDx team of volunteers that has done all the work to put on today's event, including booking all of the speakers. It's this team's ideas, dedication, and time that have made this possible. We really hope today's program sparks an exciting conversation. This is a day for curiosity and for skepticism, for inspiration and for action. The more you enter into it, the more you will take out. And now, on with the show.
Well, this global pandemic has had a significant on non-profit organizations, operations and services, and people who are working in this area. Let me give you one example. I'm working in a humanitarian disaster relief organization. Our main service is to provide psychosocial support for people who are suffering. When disaster happens, usually we will recruit volunteers. Most of them are social workers or whoever have some mental health study background. We will go to the field and conduct assessment and see if people need more services. When the city of Wuhan locked down, it seems there's nothing for us to go there. We can do nothing, as we cannot do the assessment and provide services in the field. Well, as you may know, COVID-19 brings huge impact on economy, and lots of non-profit organizations are heavily relying on donation. When economy goes down, people donate less. A report showing that over 83% of organizations experience a reduction in revenue. This report is talking about large and mid-sized nonprofits. How about those small organizations? Do they still exist? Well, we do. We are a very, very small organization located in Hong Kong. During the Wuhan crisis, we tried to change our strategies right away and provide services via the internet. We cooperated with the local organizations and we reevaluate what we can do under their circumstances. When we face a financial crisis, we try to still hold on our mission and try to be flexible. And maybe it is because we are dealing with crisis for decades. We believe we can survive and we really want to do something for people during this very difficult time. When we talk about organization management, no matter it is for charity work or for business, we do share a lot of common principles. That's why you can see we have many social enterprises today which using business tools to address social need. We got so many social problems and social issues appeared under this pandemic. People are suffering and we need non-profit organizations. Non-profit organizations, I really want them to do something new and something old, especially for those who are focusing on disaster relief or humanitarian work. What is something old? It was in Ya'an earthquake happened in 2013 in Sichuan province. We were conducting a post-disaster community development program there. Thousands of houses were damaged. We saw people rebuild their houses on themselves. It is not simply doing by their own. It is a group of people in the village will come to one family and support them. Once finished, they will go to another family to help them build their houses. What we see here is social capitals. People have shared norms, values, and understandings which facilitate understanding. We did not give them money to rebuild their houses. Instead, we facilitated their own social capitals to make things happen. We value the tradition here and we use that to strengthen mutual support network. Nowadays, you can see loneliness, discrimination, and social exclusion are everywhere. People are suffering from mental illness. More and more people are suffering from that. And especially under this pandemic, people are under quarantines and have to keep social distancing from one and each other. It brings more fear, frustration, and anxiety. If non-profit organizations want to provide services, it must make sure that people need to be supported without face-to-face because of the virus. And communities should be united even though people are not familiar with each other. The service need to be a little bit creative. For example, we can provide emotional support robot to make people feel comfortable. And we can build virtual communities online to have shared values to make people have sense of belonging. Because we want people to connect more, to respect, to have understandings with each other. This is something new, but important to carry on, because it's our tradition. So what is something new? In my organization, we have Disaster Reserve Fund. This money can help us when disaster happened. We can have emergency responses as soon as possible. So how do you think people and communities do need to be prepared before a crisis? The answer is sure, right? However, nowadays, most of the projects in non-profit organizations are heavily tackling the problems already existed. The term resilience becomes very famous nowadays. People think that only those with resilient characteristics can be stronger. But actually, resilience is a process and resilience can be trained. Johns Hopkins University has a resilience theory, that is resistance, resilience, and recovery continuum of care. What's that? Resistance means when crisis happen and disaster strikes. If you have resistance means if you have an immune system inside your body or inside your organization, it can proactively protect you from the impact of the disaster. And resilience is when, unfortunately, if the crisis is huge, you may fall down all of a sudden. But if you with resilience, you can bounce back rapidly. And recovery stands for treatment and rehabilitation. Only a few people will need that service later, because especially when we prepare people and organizations or communities with resilience and resistance before. Then you may wonder why not non-profit organizations provide more services on building resilience for people and for communities. Right, because we can conduct trainings on capacity building, disaster preparedness, crisis intervention, etc. Well, this is something new, as it is difficult because resilience is a kind of new term which has a short history, and it is time-consuming when integrated into projects. People only like focusing on here and now, and donors do not like to pay for a project which lasts longer time and designed for the future. However, this topic and this issue has already been addressed in a global consensus. In 2015, in Sendai, the UN World Conference on Disaster Risk Reduction has already pointed out that enhancing disaster preparedness for effective response and to build back better in recovery, rehabilitation, and reconstruction as one of the 4 priorities for action for prevent disaster risks. Which means we do something now, it costs less, and it's going to be very effective. If we don't, we have to pay more and do more. It's a very simple calculation, everybody should know that. Not through this pandemic, but through all these years, I have seen so many people are suffering and so much pain. I do hope non-profit organizations could survive during this very difficult time. Non-profit organizations should be open-minded, creative, and innovative to embrace new challenges because people need your service. If you ask me, what is the great business idea for non-profit organizations? it should be always something related to humanity, related to a sustainable future. No matter it is something old or something new, what I know is we should do something now to make a better world before it is too late. That's what all I'm going to share. Thank you.